What is going on, guys? It is me, DevilNeverCry, and I'm back again with another video. So with Gamescom looming around the corner and everybody feeling that DMC5 hype, I thought I'd throw together a little list of the things I want most from DMC5. Now these are going to be in no particular order, so let's dive right in. So starting off, one thing I want to see from DMC5 is a reunion between Dante and Vergil. Now I would have added a showdown between Vergil and Nero, but considering that's already confirmed to be part of the game, as seen in the reveal trailer, I decided to focus on a reunion between Dante and Vergil. Now the last time they would have seen each other by this point would have been towards the end of DMC1, when Dante obviously prevails against Nilo Angelo and goes on to defeat Mundus. Now it's been a long time since then, and I genuinely think a reunion between the brothers would be a good idea. Now I'm not exactly sure under what circumstances I would rather they meet, because on the one hand having a loving reunion is great, but on the other, if there's potential for conflict, it will be rather interesting. Another thing I want from DMC5 is the continuation past DMC2. Now for years DMC2 has been shunned as the black sheep of the family and barely acknowledged. Now I'm hoping DMC5 acknowledges DMC2 in some way and then swiftly moves past it. That way we can get rid of the shackle on this goddamn series. And if the end of the reveal trailer is anything to go by, it looks like they may do just that. Next, I want to see some legacy weapons return. Whatever happened to Alistair or Ifrit, whatever happened to Cerberus or Beowulf, they need to bring back some of these classic weapons. Whether or not they entwine them in the story, or add them as unlockables, or even DLC at this point, I don't care. I want to see them back. It's been too long since we've had classic weapons show up in the series. Now I understand why they do this. They want the series to feel fresh and contemporary, instead of feeling as if it's moving backwards. But it's been a damn long time, and the inclusion of nostalgic weapons can't hurt. Next, I want to talk about the return of Turbo Mode. So for those of you who don't know, Turbo Mode simply puts the game in a state where it acts and plays 20% faster. Nothing too crazy, but it makes the gameplay feel fresh and it helps keep you on your toes. After playing in Turbo Mode for so many years, it's kind of hard to go back to playing the game at normal speed. Now they've been awfully quiet about the inclusion of Turbo Mode, and I'm hoping that's because they're choosing not to focus on it, and I hope it's not because it's not going to be included in the base game. And I know obviously the game looks ridiculous for it playing at 60 frames a second, so if it has to be PS4 Pro and Xbox One X only, so be it, as long as it's available somewhere on consoles, because you know PC are going to have it from the very start. Also, they better not limit it to just DMC5 Special Edition only, because that's what they did with DMC3 and DMC4. It should be included in the base game. I also want the inclusion of a training mode. Now this was obviously present, I believe, in DMC DevilNeverCry Definitive Edition. Can't remember if it was in the vanilla version or not, but it is a must for the DMC series. In the past, if you'd thought of a sick-ass combo and wanted to piece it together, you'd have to finagle your way onto the debug mode on the PC copy of a game just to see if the combo worked. So why not just include a training mode to completely omit all that nonsense? This would be the first time console players would probably be able to actually test out combos instead of having to restart a mission every time an enemy died. I also wouldn't mind the inclusion of other difficulty modes. Now you should definitely include your standard normal, hard, very hard and Dante Must Die modes, but start throwing in something else. You can probably omit the inclusion of Heaven or Hell or Hell and Hell modes, considering barely anybody plays them, and throw something in like a Gods Must Die mode. Now this is a mode that was modded into the PC release, I believe, of DMC4 and probably DMC DevilNeverCry, and there's a reason why. It's because players want a higher challenge without having to deal with bullshit one-hit kill nonsense. Let's not forget the inclusion of more alternate costumes. DMC3 had a plethora of alternate costumes, and there's no reason why DMC5 shouldn't have the same amount. Now there's obviously an argument for having to scan these costumes in, which would probably eat a lot into the budget considering they're quite expensive to make. However, if they have to include them in as DLC, I say go for it. As long as we're able to play with different costumes, I don't mind. DMC4 was absolutely abhorrent, with the costume selection having essentially nothing, obviously due to time and budget constraints. But considering Capcom have supposedly written Itsuno a blank check, why not go balls to the walls and go all out and include a bunch of alternate costumes, including costumes seen in concept art or even in the older games. Moving on, I also want to see the return of some fan favourite enemies, and looking at the reveal trailer we may just get that as well. Bring back enemies such as the marionettes or the shadows. Bring back enemies that were truly menacing. Now, I'm not saying these new enemies that we've seen aren't terrifying themselves, but imagine rounding a corner only to run into an enemy that struck fear in your heart all those years ago. Plus, it will be a nice, cool little nostalgic throwback to those who played the earlier entries in the series. That way, when you're playing, there'll be moments of like, oh cool, I remember those enemies. And then the muscle memory kicks in as you start to recognize the old attack patterns and can deftly dispose of them. And of course, I want the return of Bloody Palace, but this time without any damn timers. DMC3's Bloody Palace was great. There were no timers and it was completely randomized. You could fight through each of those floors at your own pace. However, DMC4 got rid of that, shackling you with a terrible timer that made you sweat profusely for no reason, and you ended up with the same 99 floors for every single character. Bring back the random assortment of enemies. Each Bloody Palace run will then feel fresher, and you won't know what's coming next. You also have to deal with that damn timer that was almost as bad as the dice minigame. And last but not least, I want a proper send-off to the series. This is touted to be the end of the Sons of Sparta storyline, so it should feel like it. Don't cut any corners, don't pull any punches. Let this be the best game in the series. Don't end on a cliffhanger, don't end off on any bullshit, just end the series with a bang. Or if you're feeling cheeky, a little jackpot. And those are 10 things that I want most from DMC5. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys stay tuned because Gamescom is just around the corner and there's going to be a huge info blowout. It has been me, DevilNeverCry. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.